started working when I was 16 years old at General Dynamics, running the merry-go-round out in the park, $2 an hour, and did that for 2 years. And one day they asked me to work in the clubhouse. The guy that ran the clubhouse didn't show up, and so I went. I had just enrolled in Mesa College and was ready to go to school, and they asked me if I would work in the clubhouse in the evenings, and so I took on that job. So I continued doing that job for a couple of years, and eventually became the general manager's assistant. And one day my
How
boss,
old were you at that point?
I was 22. I was 21 when I got that job, and then when I became 22, my boss died, and I was appointed acting supervisor of recreation with a staff of 30, and I would say the median age was about 40, and I was 22. And the people who had worked with me and knew that I'd ran the merry-go-rounds. I knew I'd never been in management before, and that I didn't have a strong background, but all of a sudden I was their boss. And the oldest employee was 80 years old, and out of 30 people, I had to learn to tread water really lightly and not try to throw my weight around. I wanted to be accepted by them and liked by them, which was, a challenge at that age. When I think about it, that really wouldn't have mattered so much, but it was important to me then. And just learning how to be understanding of their special needs. The janitor asking me if he could take his wife's teeth to the dentist the next day, and I had to answer that laughing, and dealing with my accountant that was 80 years old, that had very archaic, almost wanted to use an abacus. We were switching over to computers back then in the 80s, and I remember that our reports were coming. They were being done on like a mimeograph machine, and we were switching over to real copy machines and things like that. And so trying to teach people the new ways, because I was younger, was one of the challenges that I had, and knew that by being polite and understanding with them and their what everything they were all about, that it would be easier to accomplish. So I had that position for about 6 months while they searched nationwide for a new supervisor of recreation. And they appointed one from Vandenberg Air Force Base. He was 46 years old, moved his family down, and he became my new boss. And so I was the manager, not the supervisor anymore, supervisor of the top position. And so I was back in a position I was comfortable with working for him, and within a year he died suddenly of a heart attack. And so my boss, the director of human resources for General Dynamics, appointed me the supervisor at that point. I was now 24 and still younger than anyone on the staff, and was in charge of a 97-acre park in Julian and a 27-acre facility in Claremont. And I never ran a business before, and so I had to learn quickly how to run a business. And by trusting in my senior staff and using their abilities, the accounting abilities, the janitorial abilities, the maintenance supervisors, all helped me work within the budget that we had and keep the business going without a lot of experience from me. I just worked with their experience until I learned what I was doing, and eventually became the real supervisor of recreation, and had that job until I was 30. And they asked me if I could do a party on Saturday for 10,000 people. It was all the employees of General Dynamics at the time. And they told me that I needed to plan the party, and it was going to start at 8:30 on Saturday morning, but they weren't going to confirm it until 4:30 on Friday night. So it might be canceled at 4:30 on Friday night, or it was going to happen, I was going to get the word that it was going to happen at 4:30 on Friday night. And there was no budget. It was just, I had to come up with a tent to seat 1,000 people and feed 1,000 people under this tent on Saturday morning, if the missile launch was successful. And so I thought about it for a few moments, and I'm sitting around a huge table, all vice presidents of General Dynamics. I was the youngest guy in the room. They're all senior vice presidents. And I said, well, the only problem I foresee is the bugs, because I've got to order 10,000 hamburger buns, 10,000 hot dog buns, and I would need to make the order by, they're closed on Wednesdays, so I need to make the order on Tuesday to get them by Saturday, and, but we're not gonna know if they're gonna cancel by Friday, so I'm just wondering what's gonna happen if I have to cancel, you know? And so the guy's looking at me like, is he, is it on camera, is he serious? Like they're all looking at me, and I was worried about like $10,000 worth of buns, when this, you know, this is a jillion and a million dollar launch, so they didn't care how much it costs, you know, but I, at my age, really